Now for our feature story of the day, Strategy buys 20,356 more Bitcoin for almost $2 billion as their holdings are just shy now of 500,000 BTC. But don't take it from me. Take it from the Giga Chat. He just tweeted, Strategy has acquired 20,356 BTC for $1.99 billion at 97,514 per Bitcoin and has achieved a Bitcoin yield of 6.9% year to date 2025. As of February 23rd this year, we hodl 499,096 BTC, acquired for $33.1 billion at approximately $66,357 per Bitcoin. And he's a great example of why we DCA, dollar cost average. And he says he's going to continue to buy the top forever, Laura. And yeah, let's dive a little deeper into this. We'll also discuss MicroStrategy, now known as Strategy, snapping up more Bitcoin, but also suggesting what the U.S. and Trump should do, which is virtually purchasing 20% of the Bitcoin supply, which is roughly 4.2 million of the Bitty. So let's break her down. Strategy said it acquired the additional $2 billion worth of the Bitcoin, increasing the world's largest corporate Bitcoin holders total to almost 500,000 of the Bitty. Safe to round up, right? So yeah, this increased the firm's total Bitcoin holdings over 499,096, acquired for $33 billion at an average price of 66,000. The acquisition came after Strategy raised another $2 billion in a senior convertible note offering, probably at 0%, as the Michael Saylor, the Bitcoin alchemist, does. To purchase more Bitcoin, the firm announced February 24th, the notes featured a 0% coupon and mature on March 1st of 2030. So they got 5 years. Each 1,000 block of notes is convertible to 2.3 shares of Strategy's Class A common stock at $433 per share, a 35% premium over the current market price. The note sale resulted in about $2 billion worth of net proceeds for the company after deducting fees and estimated expenses, according to the firm's announcement, which says here, Strategy intends to use the net proceeds from this offering for general corporate purposes, including the acquisition of Bitcoin and for working capital. The $2 billion note offering was a part of the Strategy 2021 plan, targeting $42 billion in capital over the next 3 years. And it seems Saylor's on track to achieve this 2021 plan, putting $42 billion into Bitcoin within 12 months at the rate he's going. It's crazy. Split between equity and fixed income securities to buy more of the pretty little bitty. And Strategy said it already raised $20 billion of that $42 billion, fueling its Bitcoin buying spree, largely through the senior convertible notes and debt. Hence, Bitcoin alchemy. And despite sustaining $670 million net loss for the fourth quarter of 2024, Strategy is set to continue its long-term Bitcoin acquisition plan. Yeah, I think it can care less regarding their, net losses as long as their net Bitcoin continues to stack the sats. Smart man. And as the firm nears 500,000 in Bitcoin holdings, Strategy has an unrealized profit of more than $14.8 billion on its total Bitcoin holdings, as the Saylor tracker shows you right here. Now, 12 states in North America have reported holding Strategy stock in their state pension funds or treasuries at the end of 2024, totaling $330 million. Also, after the rebrand of their company to Strategy on February 5th, BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, increased its stake in Strategy to 5%. So go figure. The largest shareholder of Strategy, Michael Saylor's company, which holds almost 500,000 Bitcoin, is BlackRock, as BlackRock controls the world. But yeah, this is a pretty big deal. Saylor's not slowing down. He's speeding up. And just to put this in perspective, he just purchased 5 times the amount of Bitcoin that the country of El Salvador holds in just one DCA buy, meaning El Salvador Bitcoin country has approximately just above 6,000 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. He just purchased 20,000 for $2 billion. It's really mind-boggling if you really put that in perspective. Now, let's dive a little deeper into the proposal for Trump to ultimately get his hands on, if they were able to do that. It'd obviously be a long-term commitment. But here's what he said, appearing at the 2025 Conservative Political Action Conference, February 20th. Saylor shared, "There's only room for one nation state to buy up to 20% of the Bitcoin network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States. Wink, wink, POTUS Trump." Hope you're listening. It's a way for us to emerge as a creditor nation in a matter of a decade. It is also a way for us to ensure we're leaders in cyberspace and the digital economy for the next 100 years. Let me know if you think the Strategic Reserve Bill for the United States of America will get passed. And could you imagine even the announcement of Trump or his crypto czar Sachs saying, yo, we're going to buy 20% of the supply. Cynthia Lummis, why are you so bearish? Proposing 5%? That's nothing. We need 20% if we're to maintain the leader. And also, here's a bonus prediction from Saylor I shared way back. Actually, I got two of them for you. The first one is the most bullish prediction I've ever heard come out of Saylor's mouth. When he was interviewed on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, he said, Bitcoin is on a path to be worth $100 million per coin, which means the US dollar will have lost 99.9% of its value over the next 100 years. Warren Buffett knows this, and Charlie Munger, back when he was alive, knows this, and I agree 100%. And that's why they're anti-Bitcoiners, these people who control the monopolies of the fiat dollar currently. And for the other bonus, this was from another interview I actually transcribed personally. Here's what he wrote. First of all, Bitcoin's going up by a factor of 10. Whether they can fix any of this stuff, it's going to be a grind up by a factor of 10. And FYI, a 10x from here would put us at $1 million per coin. Just because gold is broken. And of course, we're having talks of the Fort Knox audit, which is very bullish for Bitcoin, because if all that gold ain't there, which I am very sus that it will be there, it's just more, to show you that all that stuff can be manipulated. Unlike Bitcoin, there's no fool's Bitcoin, whereas there's fool's gold. It's going to replace gold, and now everybody in the universe knows they need a non-sovereign store of value in the form of a bearer instrument. Agreed. And for the last year, people said inflation may be coming. We're not sure. Now the mainstream narrative has flipped to inflation is here, bro. You need an inflation hedge. So it is going to grind up to replace gold. That's a fact, Jack. That's a black Jack. It'll go to 500,000 a coin, regardless of whether they fix these things. Here are the three things that are massive catalysts that will cause an acceleration. And FYI, spoiler alert, all three things have already transpired. And those three things don't take us to 500,000. They take us to 5 million a coin. Do you hear that? Let's go. Here are the three things. The spot ETF, which we clearly got, which went live January 11th, 2024. He said, where someone can go ahead and buy 100 million of the Bitcoin via the ETF security. I think that's one. Precisely. And we just got news last week that Abu Dhabi announced they're sitting on roughly $500 million worth of the Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock. And number two, your bank is going to custody it for you and lend against it. I mean, why wouldn't they? It's pristine collateral, especially with all the changes occurring and with a pro-Bitcoin administration, which is currently in place. Number three, I can mark it up or down on my balance sheet as fair value. Done deal. It'll be pari passu with the way I handle Apple stock, or at least that good. If you had a property with fair value accounting, by the way, it becomes pari passu to the way you handle treasury bonds on the treasury balance sheet. Treasuries are better than stocks because treasury is property, whereas a stock is a security, and you are capped at 40% of the balance sheet of securities. So they're no longer going to be perceiving it as liabilities, but they can now use it, right? So it would be a major breakthrough if you saw any of those three things. I'll end this one with this one observation I tweeted last week. I believe is very powerful. If the banks can hold the stuff on their balance sheet, then a whole new class of investors are going to buy it. People are going to put in multi-billion dollar orders to buy it as a treasury asset. And quoting Max Kaiser from yesterday's podcast, he says, $1 trillion buy orders are on tap. 2.2 million in play. I repeat, $1 trillion buy orders are on tap. 2.2 million in play, broskies. Nobody is going to sell it because there is no reason to sell it if you can borrow against it. And that's the bigger picture. So you'll be borrowing against your biddy. Nobody is ever going to sell it. And then I joked, and you won't be able to afford it. You'll be able to afford it, but everyone gets Bitcoin at the price they deserve. Ha ha ha. When the banks normalize it, you can draw a 100 million credit line at 100 basis points from an FDIC insured bank. At that point, right, we're going to blow through the market cap of gold by a factor of 10. Hear that, Peter Schiffmeister? It's not too late to capitulate, brother. I think the best thing is those three things are likely to happen, and they've all come to fruition a lot sooner than anticipated, ending it with here. I don't know if any of that will happen in 36 months or 24 months or 12 months. Well, it all happened. I'd be shocked if it is more than 36 months, and I hope it doesn't happen in 12 months, because my view is the longer it takes, more progressive the grind. The more time I have to buy more of the pretty little bitty. And that's the man that holds, his company, roughly 500,000 of the BTC, and that's excluding his personal stash, broskies. And if you don't know, Now you know. And welcome everyone to the stream. Breaking news, Satoshi has been found to live in Puerto Rico. Are you telling me the Nippinator is Satoshi? Always wears Bukele hats and shades and has a very successful podcast. Wait a minute. I am not Satoshi. I repeat, I am not Satoshi. Satoshi would never start a Bitcoin pod. That's a fact.